Hi there, my name is Dr. Marissa May. In this video, we're going to be looking at one-step inequalities. Now, before we jump into some example problems, I want to remind you of how we decide whether a graph is going to have an open circle or a closed circle. So anytime we see greater than or equal to, without the equals underneath that, we're going to use an open circle. And then if we see the equal to underneath it, like the second row, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, we'll use a closed circle. Let's do a couple of examples to help you show you this. So when we are solving inequalities by adding or subtracting, the first thing we're going to do is to add or subtract the constant from both sides. I'll explain how we decide if we add or subtract. And then we'll graph the inequality on a number line. So let's take a look at our first example. X plus 8 is less than 12. So I want you to ask yourself what's happening to the variable. It's being added by 8. We're going to do the opposite of adding 8, which is to subtract 8 from both sides of the inequality. You'll notice that I wrote the minus 8 underneath the plus 8 because those are like terms. And I wrote it underneath the 12 because we're doing the same thing to both sides. When we do that, we know that the plus 8 minus 8 cancel each other out because 8 minus 8 would give us 0. So I'm left with just this x over here on the left is less than, and then I can do 12 minus 8, which is 4. So my solution is x is less than 4. Now we're going to go and graph that on the number line I have here. So at 4, I need to ask myself, is this an open circle or a closed circle? Remember, because we do not have the equal to underneath that inequality, we're going to put an open circle at 4. Notice how I draw it just as an open circle. And then I'm going to be shading numbers that are less than 4. Remember, that's what our inequality was. X is less than 4. Well, where are the numbers less than? You're right, to the left. In fact, if I were to look at this inequality, you'll see it's pointing to the left. And that means I shade all of these numbers to the left of 4. And this is my solution, x is less than 4, and also my graph. Okay, let's take a look at one more. All right, in this problem, we're going to look at example 2. Negative 12 is greater than or equal to y minus 7. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of my students do not like when that variable is written on the right side. And I get it, okay? So let me tell you, you can rewrite it, but you have to be very careful. Do you see that the inequality is pointing at the side that has the y? Okay, so if you're going to flip that around and write it as y minus 7, you have to make sure your inequality is pointing to the side that has the y on it. Okay, I didn't do any algebra there. I just rewrote the inequality so that the variable was on the left. All right, now look at your variable, the y. Ask yourself, what's happening to that variable? It's being subtracted by 7. That's right. So we're going to do the opposite of that. We're going to add 7 to both sides. Again, notice that I lined it up underneath the minus 7 because we know 7 minus 7 gives us 0. And I lined it up underneath the negative 12. So I'm left with this y is less than or equal to, and then negative 12 plus 7. Hey, friends, no shame here. If you struggle with positive and negatives, definitely use your Desmos graphing calculator. I've put a link in the description below. It's completely free, and I want you to have that really good tool. So negative 12 plus 7 would give me negative 5. All right, now that I have my solution, I'm ready to graph it. So I'm going to go to negative 5, and I need to ask myself, do I put an open circle or a closed circle there? Well, I'm hoping you're remembering that when we have the equal to underneath there, we put a closed circle at that number. So notice I'm just going to draw a circle and close it in. And then remember, we are graphing numbers that are less than negative 5. And this gets tricky with negative numbers, so be real careful. You may even use our little trick of looking at the inequality and which way is it pointing? Well, it's pointing to the left, so we would shade this side. Okay. All right, my friends, I hope this gets you started with solving inequalities with one step using addition or subtraction. Bye for now.